Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Fantastic. We've just joined a due because a lot of people know that I have RSI, and it's because of 20 years of processing. So it's why every year we have this talk about health and fitness, and it's just so wonderful to have another guest speaker, our second one, who's going to talk about the actual safety of bookkeepers on site and a few other things about management. So it is my pleasure to introduce Faith Easton, and Faith is the owner and director of FOCAL Safety Management. She's a safety enhancement specialist, which was established in 2005. Faith's primary goal is to help her clients to achieve and maintain optimum safety performance through ongoing support and continual improvement. The bookkeeping industry has many areas that need addressing in regards to safety, and I'm really glad that Faith has decided to address this challenge tonight. So please welcome Faith Easton.
Thank you, Sue. Good evening, everyone. I'm just waiting for the slides to come up. Sorry, I haven't worn these one of these before, so. My phone isn't working.
Should just go, or you can press. Sorry, don't.
It's all right.
It's not working. Then you can press forward or back. So up or down. All right. And battery's good.
Red light's on.
That's it.
Okay. Yeah, what would happen if you were injured today and you couldn't work again? Your health and safety is important. Important for your well-being, important for your lifestyle, important for your family, your career, and the business. So today, I just will touch on safety legislation, safety issues that you face, poor posture and work organization, and managing your safety and the benefits of health and safety. In about 66 days, the new health and safety legislation comes into play that's actually throughout Australia. So this is the Work Health and Safety legislation for New South Wales, which is 2011. There's a number of significant changes that are going to take place. Besides having the extension of the employer and the employee, there's also the increase in duty of care, due diligence, as well as the maximum penalties for any breaches. So what I thought today, given the changes, I'll talk to you about where you're at in terms of compliance with the current legislation. According to the Australian Bureau of Statistics, 37% of all workplace injuries within Australia are office-related. The legislation requires that we control and monitor risks. Now, in your workplace, whether you're home-based or whether you're office-based, you are in a controlled environment, which really means that you can control the risk, control and manage your risk in your workplace. When you in your client's workplace, you're in an uncontrolled work environment, meaning that you're reliant on your client to actually manage and control those risks. So I thought we'd just have a look at possible risks you might face if you're in an uncontrolled environment. The scenario I've chosen is, say for instance, your job for the day is with a fabrication workshop. It's a little distance from where you live. It's a rainy day, you have to drive down. The owner's got a dog, he takes that to work. The dog is sitting at the main entrance when you get there, and that entrance actually takes you through the workshop and takes you to the main office. In the meantime, work is in progress. There's a lot of noise because someone's hammering, there's grinding, there's somebody welding. The amenities on the lower floor. The office is on the mezzanine floor, so you have to climb up the stairs to get there. The owner's a tall fellow, so basically he's organized and designed the workstation to meet his needs. The desk is cluttered, it's full of dust, and you've got 6 hours of work for that day. So if you look at that, if you just look at the general hazards, that's that whole workplace, just that distance, driving to and from working that day, these are the hazards you encountered. And you can probably add more to that list. So basically, if we're looking at the general hazards, I mean, you could be in a motor vehicle accident. You could have lacerations as a result of a slip fall. You could have strains or sprains as well. You could have a dog bite. So, you know, the list just keeps going on. So then if we look at economic hazards. So we'll talk about the impact of poor posture and poor work organization. Your spine has 3 natural curves. And the spinal cord protects your spinal column. And leading out from the column is nerves, are nerves which actually attach to the organs, and they get the messages from the brain so that they function correctly. The spine is also supported by muscles and tendons. And when we hold poor posture or static posture for an extended period, the muscles tire and they weaken and they stretch, and eventually the vertebrae compress and the spine becomes misaligned, and then we eventually suffer some sort of damage to the spine and have different types of symptoms. So that is what a healthy spine should be like, and we're supposed to maintain that whether we're sitting at a desk, whether we're bending, we're supposed to maintain that. If we don't, we're liable to get sustain an injury. So the nerves attach different parts of the organ, and yes, so that they can function correctly. In the initial stages, you know, when we're suffering from, when we hold poor posture, we might suffer from maybe eye strain, a headache, neck pain, back pain, and fatigue. But as things progress, the symptoms can become more significant. So we'll have things like high blood pressure, mood swings, bone spurs, or otherwise breathing difficulty. But then that then leads on to further permanent impairments such as slip disc, bulging discs, nerve infringements, degeneration, arthritis, scoliosis, etc. And in addition to that, we can also get carpal tunnel syndrome and epicondylitis. So as we can see is that poor economic behavior can lead to quite significant long-term injuries. So where do we go from there? You know, where do we begin to make those changes and prevent injury? When we start our business, one of the first things we do is we develop a business plan. And one of the few things that you might have on there is maybe a marketing plan or financial plan, but most of us don't have a safety plan on there. Safety impacts on your business. It's a cost to your business. The success of your business is dependent on safety in the workplace. So that is one of the first things we should be tackling if we haven't done that before. The Occupational Health and Safety Act and the regulations set up standards and codes of practice. Depending on what your work, the nature of your work and your work activity is, you are to comply with those standards as well as those codes of practice. With regards to the Australian Standards 4801, this applies to all businesses. So whether you're a small business or a large corporate organization, you still need to comply with that standard, which is having a safety management system. The safety management system sets the foundations for safety in your business and prevents injuries. So in terms of managing your clients, you can develop procedures to help you with that, or risk management of any workplace hazards or in uncontrolled work environments. So the next one, ergonomics at the workstation. So how do we better manage that? It's good to have the training in ergonomics at the workstation and to have the ergonomic furniture and equipment. However, if we don't take ownership of managing our workplace safety and managing our work design and organization, then that's not going to be beneficial to us because we'll suffer from workplace injuries. So the first thing really is to take that information and that knowledge that is given to us and as well as the resources and utilize that to ensure that we're working safely. I'll just go back a bit. One of the other things that we also need to look at is give ourselves an actual self-assessment. Often we get so used to doing things in a certain way that we don't seem to realize that we go slackening, we're holding a bad posture, and gradually it just gets worse and worse, and we don't recognize that. So I suggest the first thing you do is assess, sit down and assess your posture. How are you holding your posture? Have you got aches and pains? What's going on within your posture? So get that right. Get your correct posture, and then thereafter, then you're looking at the ergonomic the furniture and equipment and things like that, and organizing yourself at the desk. Another thing is also looking at your routine. Have a routine in place where, for injury prevention strategies, as to say, before you start your day, you do the stretches, and throughout frequent intervals, you're actually doing the stretches, you're taking the regular breaks, you're alternating your work. So you might do 15 minutes of data entry, and then you take that and stand and go and file that way. So just work it out, see what will work for you, and just make sure you do take those necessary breaks. So that is an office chair. And it's just got the very basic adjustment levers. Also, skill yourself up in terms of, get more technical skills in terms of managing ergonomic furniture, how to adjust it, because the nature of your job is to go into different work environments, and in each environment, things differ in terms of ergonomic furniture, risks and hazards and so forth. So really learning how, getting the technical skills to be able to adjust the furniture or the screens and so forth will be the way to go. Today there's a lot of different ergonomic furniture, and there's a lot of suggestions as to what is good for you and what is not good for you, and what angles you should be at. Some screens are low, some screens are high, some chairs are tilted. But this sample that I have is about correct posture. You should be holding that posture no matter what furniture you're using or what angles whatever angles the ergonomic furniture is at, whether you're standing, sitting, or just at any work desk. Also noting they have the right angles between the thigh and the lower leg, the right angles at the upper arm and elbow, and she has that lumbar support, which is really important. Some of us have deeper, curve beds, others not. So that is really an important part to ensure that you got the lumbar support, which helps you to maintain that, the three natural curves in your spine. And then her eyes are at eye level with the screen. Yes, so the benefits of safety management. Effective safety management is essential for injury prevention and OH&S compliance. This will increase productivity, reduce downtime, and maintain a healthy workforce. The message really that I need to get out for you today is really to take ownership of your health and safety. It's your life, it's your body. I have rehabbed, I've worked in injury management, I've rehabbed many people that have been injured. And at the end of the day, these people were, to begin with, these people were healthy people in the workplace, doing their job. And I have a friend that can't even sit on a chair for 15 minutes. She was tops in a job, she had every possible thing to live for, and today she can't sit in a chair. She's a young woman, she's got a good life before her. So really, it's important that you look after yourself. Thank you. If there's any questions.
Faith, do you know if the workplace has still a $500 benefit that you can get? I'm not sure you can apply, but is that still going?
Yes. For any workshop you attend with work cover, you can get a $500 incentive, but you have to attend that personally or send one of your staff members. That entitles you to purchase, like in your case, ergonomic furniture. Giving you an example, I've actually purchased, I had ergonomic chairs and things like that, but I just purchased some normal ergonomic chairs for the office. So there is that incentive, which means you can get that.
That's exclusive. Is that applicable to sole traders?
Yes, sole traders, yes. And I think it's people with I think there's a criteria in terms of the number of workers you have. I think under 20 workers.
But what if you are one?
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm basically one, and I got that.
Yeah, I've got it too.
Yeah.
Right.
That's 500 GST exclusive as well.
And those workshops are excellent.
Faith, can you also, at the workshop, I had a guy come to my home to assess my workplace, and he then signed off on it. It was a 10-minute conversation. He was in and out. Does that still apply?
I'm not familiar with that one, Sue. I've heard you say something about that, but I'm not familiar with that one. I can also always make inquiries, and if anyone wants to know, I can let them know. They just have to email me. I have some bags over there, and if each of you want to take away, there's information in there. And if you just give me a call, if you've got any OH&S questions, I'm happy to answer those and lead you to anyone that might, be able to help you.
Faith, can you highlight what's going to happen on January 1?
On January 1, the new legislation is going to be introduced. As I said, there's a number of changes that are going to be made. I had a look on the internet just this afternoon. Work cover is going to have workshops and trying to assist people in transfer from the old legislation to the new. At this stage, I think they're still working on how they can support small business. But on the 25th of November, they do have a workshop which is on the new legislation. I highly recommend that you begin to attend the workshops, go on to the Work Cover website. They do have a section where it says on new legislation 2012. Read up exactly on what the changes are, because they're all in there. They'll actually tell you, like, an employer is a PCBU and just what that entails. Also a worker, the position of the worker changes. You also have an officer, which some of you might be officers, so it's important that you go and have a look and see how is this legislation going to affect me in my role.
Have you got any suggestions of how you actually approach diplomatically the situation with some of the clients that we have? Because our office is very ergonomic, and when people work internally, that's fine. But most of my staff and the bookkeepers that work with us are out on site. And the typical example that you gave would be a very typical example of an industrial site that they work on, where they have to go up some stairs, etc. How do you actually say, excuse me, we can't work on this little laptop because the screen is, you can say something to them, but it's got to be incredibly diplomatic if you can use the word really fast if you're not going to continue with what they want.
Not always well received.
It's not always well received, no. So is there some way that we can sort of say, look, just as an aside, your workplace might not be that ergonomically correct according to work. Is there someone we can send them, like to be sending to you, or do we give them an information pack, or how do we do it?
Yeah. I know it's really difficult to be able to approach people about safety management. I have the same issues as well. I can see they need the help and they have issues, and they're not receptive to that. What you're doing is basically saying to them, look, under the new legislation, these are the requirements we need to do to ensure a safe workplace. If we don't, both of us, both myself and you, get into trouble with the stuff under the site. And it's really difficult to really change. If they're not willing to change, it's difficult to change their minds. One other thing maybe that you can do is maybe if you get the $500 incentive by X amount of chairs, if you know that this client is worthwhile, like I've heard, I think it was Julie talking about a client that was 7 hours a week or whatever it was. That's maybe, if that's good income for you, then could you take ergonomic furniture then, knowing that maybe at the end of that 12 months you're going to get something back for it? But often you really need to look at the risk versus the income. And if it's going to mean that they're not looking after, they're not managing their hazards, and once your worker is injured, it's going to cost you. It's not worth it taking on that job. You're better off refusing the job if it doesn't allow you to take that job and work off-site with it.
Yeah. Go back to your office.
Yeah, you're better off.
I know.
Because a lot of the time they're talking about, like, when you talk about like anything to do with safety, what we see is like, oh, it's cost me $1,000, maybe you had to call in a consultant or whatever you needed to do, it's cost you $1,000. But it's an iceberg situation where there's a lot of indirect costs, because if there's an issue within your office in terms of risk, it's going to take you off what you're doing as a manager. You're going to have to try and manage that risk. You're going to have to talk to work cover. You're going to have to retain staff. You're going to have to either find retrain or find somebody else to do the job, or a contractor. So all those the indirect costs are greater, 5 times, 6 times greater than the actual cost of getting someone in to help you. So you really need to sit and think about it. Is it worth me taking this job? Because yes, I might be getting $1,000 a week or a month or whatever from him, but then because he's not managing his hazards and his risk in his workplace, and if the staff gets injured, it's not worth it. It's going to cost me more than that, because that staff is also going to be off work, which means she can't service the rest of the clients. So really, it's really looking at that risk and trying to get that balance.
Yeah. Thank you so much.